Hey guys, it's Michael. I have a quick update for you on the second stimulus check and second stimulus package. We have great news from the White House administration because in an interview earlier today, Chief of Staff Mark Meadows said that let's get out the second stimulus checks. We'll pass a bill tomorrow. The president will sign it as long as this one thing happens. So in today's video, I'm going to break down exactly what White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows said. Then we're going to get into President Trump and what he said during a press conference about the issue of vote by mail and post office funding. He changed his stance on this. And finally, we're also going to cover good news from the Democrats and how Democrats in the Senate and the House are pushing for more stimulus. We're going to go over specific interviews from a number of other lawmakers. But before we get started, it would really mean a lot if you could like the video down below and subscribe to my channel to stay up to date on the second stimulus check, second stimulus package, as well as other news updates. Also, don't forget, you can get 2 free stocks valued up to $1,400 when you download the Webull investing app using the link down below. Please be sure to let me know in the comments which 2 free stocks you guys received when downloading the Webull app, and even if you received the $1,400 stock. In addition, you can get $5 immediately when you download the Acorns investment app as well. Chief of Staff Mark Meadows signaled that President Trump would sign a stimulus bill with direct $1,200 checks, unemployment benefits, liability protections for small businesses, a PPP extension, and post office funding this week. This is great news because originally President Trump said he wouldn't pass a bill that includes funding for the post office, but now he changed his mind, and Mark Meadows hopes this could get the Democrats back to the negotiating table. White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows spoke on CNN's State of the Union earlier today on Sunday and said that if my Democratic friends are all upset about the vote by mail and post office funding, they should come back to Washington, D.C. and they can make an agreement on it. He said, let's go ahead and get direct stimulus checks out to Americans. Let's make sure that small businesses are protected with an extended payroll protection program, and we'll put post office funding in the package as well. He said we'll pass it tomorrow. The president will sign it. He goes on to say that I'm certain that whether it's $10 billion or $25 billion or something in between, we can definitely do that in the next bill for post office funding. Mark Meadows goes on to explain that what he opposes with universal mail-in ballots and funding for post offices is where you send millions of ballots out to registered voters across the country, even those people who don't request it. He explains how in that situation it leads to inaccurate results. People move, people die, and yet when we are going to send out millions of ballots all across the country when people who aren't even asking for them, he said that just is asking for a disaster. So in addition to Mark Meadows, President Trump also came out and spoke on the issue of vote by mail and post office funding. President Trump said he would accept Democrats' request for $25 billion for the Postal Service, including billions to bolster mail-in voting if they were willing to bow on some of his concessions. So this is a big change from what President Trump has said previously. Previously, he said he would not accept a bill if it had this much money for vote by mail and post office funding, but now he's saying he will. He simply wants to get Democrats back to the negotiating table and wants to get another stimulus package passed as soon as possible. Fox News' John Roberts on Friday asked Trump if he would be willing to offer the $25 billion to the USPS and $3.5 billion to election resources should the Democrats be willing to cave into some of his other demands. And Trump specifically said that sure, if they give us what we want and concede on other aspects of the bill, we are definitely willing to pass this money for vote by mail and the post office. And finally, on top of Mark Meadows and Republicans, there are calls from the Democrats to come back to the negotiating table and get another bill passed. Catherine Cortez Masto, a Democrat from Nevada, in a statement released Saturday, said Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell should end a recess, return to Washington, and work to pass the bipartisan emergency funding needed to provide urgent economic relief and combat the pandemic. She said that we need to pass another stimulus package, and she wants Mitch McConnell to end recess and get the Senate back in session so they can come to a deal quickly. In addition to this, Jim Clyburn, who is a Democratic member of the House of Representatives, he echoed these comments as well, and he said the whole notion of having to have a $1 trillion program versus a $3 trillion package, what does it do? He said if you got a $1 trillion program and it is totally inadequate, that doesn't make it a good program because it is too small and there's not enough money. He explains that what they need to do with the second stimulus package and what makes a good program is if the economy gets back up and running and if it gets us beyond the pandemic. Because he explained if the next stimulus package can't do that, well then we need to come back to the table and develop a package that will be able to help sustain the economy and help it get through the pandemic. So ultimately right now, whenever the negotiations resume, it's clear that both parties seek resolution for a full bill, and they both want a second stimulus package, even though they're at odds on a couple of aspects of what should be included. But as of right now, what we do know is that both sides recognize the need for another stimulus package that includes money for virus testing, reopening schools, looming eviction crisis, and the upcoming election, as well as other things such as direct stimulus checks and unemployment benefits. Anyways, that is just a quick update on the second stimulus check and second stimulus package and how President Trump and the White House administration said they're willing to do a deal and sign it tomorrow, and that they are willing to include post office funding in the next bill. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to get your 2 free stocks valued up to $1,400 when you download the Webull investing app using the link down below, and get $5 immediately when you download the Acorns investment app as well. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like the video down below, leave a comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.